So what have you got for me?
Let me show you. Over here, at some point in the house's history, the owners took all the existing trim out on the first floor, left it this unfinished look.
Yeah, they wrapped it with plaster.
Yeah.
Not a good look. Well, this house of this period would probably have a trim detail called colonial trim. Let's start at the top. There'd be a plain piece of wood with a cap molding on the top. Down the sides, there'd be much more detail. And at the base, there'd be a block of wood that the trim would sit on called a plinth block.
Oh, that's what we have upstairs.
Well, let's take a look.
Okay. Well, let me show you what we have upstairs.
Ah, this is the kind of trim detail I love. This is a 4.5-inch colonial. This actually looks like southern yellow pine. Nice job on the finish.
Thank you.
So this is the detail that you want to put downstairs.
Yes, but I'm really wondering if we can even find this anymore.
Well, I think we can. There's a mill shop down the street that carries a bunch of it. Here, hold my clipboard for a minute.
Sure.
What I want to do is I want to copy this profile. And to do that, I'm going to use a profile gauge. It has wires. When I push against it, it copies anything. All right?
Okay.
First thing I do is flatten it out. I take it and I push it up against the trim. All right? Now I have a copy of the profile of this trim. I'm simply going to take that. I'm going to trace it on a piece of paper. Draw this out. And we'll take this down to the mill shop, see if we can match it up. Now I just want to take a profile of the cap molding.
Okay.
All right, I push the gauge into the cap molding. We have a profile of that. We'll trace this and then bring it down to the mill shop. With our floors protected, we're now going to start removing the baseboard that goes around the perimeter of the room.
And why are we going to do that?
Well, it's number one, it's not going to match the trim that we're going to be installing. And number two, it's going to be in the way of our plinth block when we install the trim.
I see.
All the base off, Tom?
All set.
Great. All right. Now, inside this opening is called the jamb. What I did is I took some 1x6 poplar and I ripped it down to match the wall thickness. And then I trued up the edge using my bench plane. I then took one piece and I cut it 1 inch shorter than this opening so that I can shim it up, true it up later.
Okay.
Now, if you look at the two sides, you'll notice that one piece is 1/4 inch longer than the other piece.
Yeah.
Now, what I did first is I laid my level on the floor, and I found that the floor was out of level and down 1/4 inch on this side. So that means I'll take my long piece and use it on this side. I'll take my other piece and use it on that side. When I lay my header on top, the header will be level.
Then we just nail it right into place.
No, we're going to take it down and we're going to build it as a unit on the floor.
Great.
Now what I'm doing is I'm drilling in through the header and into the side jamb so that when I screw it together, it won't split. In my drill, I have an attachment that holds a drill bit. Another has another attachment that covers that with a square drive on the end. Put it together, and screw it in. And what I'm using is a 2.5-inch deck screw. Now remember, we're taking our cue for the trim on the first floor from the trim on the second floor. When we place the trim on the jamb, we don't want it to be flush on the edge. We want to have a reveal of about 1/4 inch. To get that reveal, I set my combination square at 1/4 inch and we'll run a line. Now I'll follow that line with the side jamb. Now the plinth block is a little bit thicker or wider than the side jamb, so I want to lessen this reveal slightly and make a new mark. That's the one for my plinth block. Simply take the plinth block, keep it even on the bottom, flush to the line, and I tack it in place. Okay, now I'm going to set my side trim, put that on my 1/4 inch reveal, right on the line, and tack that. Now I like to nail the side casing about 12 to 16 inches apart.
What type of nail are you using to put these in?
This is actually an 8-penny finish nail, or 2.5 inches long. Now we get the other side. Line it up on my line. Nail it in place. Now remember, this side of the casing is 1/4 inch shorter than this side.
Just like the jamb.
Right. Now I want to measure for the header. Hook it on this side, and I want to add 3/8 of an inch for overhang, so that'd be 65 1/8. Now the header is finished off with a cat molding that goes on top, and each end of that is mitered at a 45-degree angle with a small return. To get the length of that piece, I simply laid it on there. I marked underneath, and I cut it on myself. Now to get the return, I flip my strap over, cut my miter the other way. At the end of the header, I divided up that 3/8 overhang measurement and I put it on the edge of my trim. And now I have a nice shadow line on the end and on the face. Nail it on my line. Now ready for the cap molding. Now I want to start with the return to the cap molding, and I've switched my gun to a brad nailer so that I'm not using the 2.5-inch 8-penny nail, because that will split this molding when I nail it. All right, now we'll put the face piece on. Now our other end. All right, let's slip it right into the opening.
Okay.
Put the bottom in first.
Let's hope it
All right.
fits.
Slide it right in. Okay, now I already know that the header is level. What I want to do is plumb up this side. It looks pretty good. Now I can tack right through the trim into the structure. Now I'll do the other side. I kick the bottom over to me a little bit.
Okay.
A little bit too much. Let me tap it back a little. Right there. Now I just nail off the header. We're ready for the other side. All right, let's see what it looks like from the living room.
Oh, Tom, this really looks great.
Well, you got a few doors to do. Do you think you can handle it?
I'm going to give it a try.